Hello and welcome. This is Rooflemonger, my friends. Today we're going to be talking about a specific topic, and that is the drive rush. And is it the best technique in the game overall? The raw drive rush specifically. Now, I don't got to sell you on drive rush. We all know drive rush is pretty good, right? For a myriad of reasons, not the least of which is it's effectively the game's run. You know, Street Fighter, not really a series with run, like say Mortal Kombat or something like that. But with a drive rush, well, you basically can run, right? Like even old Honda will trudge along much faster than running or dashing, right? Obviously, it makes all moves much more advantage. Like say DJ here on block. Stand jab is -1 off a drive rush. Hey, it's +3, right? It adds +4 to everything, on hit or on block. Like, the use case for it is obviously very strong and very apparent. But is it just basically better than everything else? So, I'm starting here with DJ specifically because DJ is the meme character with the drive rush, right? Because his drive rush is exceptional, to say the least. And I have also Honda here because I want to use Honda as kind of a basis against drive rush. Honda naturally has the headbutt, right? Headbutt may be the single most complained about move in this game, period. And I want to compare headbutt to a drive rush at, roughly the distance you'd want to drive rush at, and at roughly the distance headbutt is exceptional at. Because this is roughly the distance here where if you try to drive impact, a headbutt, you're playing with fire big time because you just, for the most part, don't have that time unless you're just exceptionally early or guest lucky, right? Honda will have time to block, and if he has time to block, he has time to DI you back. And of course, naturally, then the game as well. I'm just going to do the old perfect parry against headbutt. And sometimes you do a little bit early, you get a regular parry. Sometimes you'll do it a little bit late. And, you get hit instead. So, it works out sometimes, it works out doesn't, right? So now let's compare this against, let's use DJ as a drive rush. So Honda, at roughly this range here, if he connects with the headbutt, it'll take overall 23 frames from start to finish. Now DJ, from roughly the same distance, if he were to drive rush in and attack, and we'll use a medium attack specifically, just so we're not using as fast as possible attacks, just, game the system, right? How long does it take DJ to connect if it takes Honda 23 frames to connect with that nasty old headbutt from this distance? So it takes DJ to connect 17 frames, which is a good deal faster. I think that's fair to say by the numbers, right? So connects quicker than the headbutt does, is advantage, heavily advantage on block, +6 instead of -4. Obviously combos on hit, maybe not the most optimal example, but you get the idea, right? So yeah, it's faster, better on block, much better on hit, right? So it's better in a lot of ways. Now a couple things, one, yes, because I know there's gonna be the one person in the comments. There is indeed a little bit of screen stop, where when you do the initial drive rush, you can see like the screen itself, it'll freeze up for a split second. The one thing with that is, even though it's one of the few things that lets you react to drive rushes at all, right? By the time you even can perceive the screen stop, he's already, anyone doing the drive rush is already well into the drive rush, right? It is still a short time in the end. It's not quite the big telegraph like other screen stop things, or would be like, a super, right? It is a blip on the radar. You blink and you miss it kind of deal, right? And yes, obviously enough, it takes meter, right? It takes a full drive gauge meter, no matter who you are. That's the beauty of a universal system, right? So Honda headbutt is free, although it does take charge time. Now, I'm not making this about Honda specifically, I'm just using that as an example, right? But it goes to show that drive rush is very powerful. You can react to, depending on the character. So now I'm Zangief, and we're up against the DJ here, and if he does a raw drive rush, we'll try to check it here. So here, in the benefit of a purely sterile environment, oh, I got him. Because I knew it was coming, right? I set it up. I knew it was going to come, so there we go, I got him. But even then, right, and Zangief, unfortunately, is less blessed than a lot of the characters. Like, if I try to cancel the Lariat, I'm going to whiff, then I'm going to die, right? Like, what is the risk-reward on this scale here? If I successfully get him, and I botched that, there you go. We'll leave that one in, just to show you how good it is, right? So I got a jab in. Obviously, other characters can get better things when I'm using Zangief as an example. So that's my reward, is I got 360 damage because it's a counter hit. Compared to that, we know what does DJ get here, right? He gets plus on block, he gets combo on hit, and of course he can do a myriad of other things. He doesn't just have to go for the hit, right? Like you can go for a throw or any other nonsense, overhead low, all that kind of stuff, right? And naturally enough, DJ being DJ, even if we have the right read, he can do all sorts of things. And that's part of why I think the raw drive rush is so strong. Other than just the obvious stuff, if I hit you, I get a better combo. If you block, it's still my turn, and I can threaten you with throw or a shimmy or a command grab if I have a command grab or whatever else. It's the fact that the obvious counterplay against it isn't always so obvious. So generally speaking, if you see that green flash at all, generally the best idea is to do something invincible. Because if you do something that's regular, like a button, you could be a bit too slow. Unfortunately, you could even be a bit too early. And either of those gets you bopped really bad, right? But invincibility, for the most part, this is the safest option. I see that green flash, screw it. I just go right for my invincible option. I'm not even going to pretend to play around. And for the characters that can do that, that's great. Not every character can. In fact, a lot of the cast cannot. But for the characters that can, that is a very strong option. Like, let's use another character like Jury, right? Another exceptionally amazing drive rush. Goes into stand medium punch, carries her forward, a lot of momentum, very fast as well. It's almost as good, or even as good as DJ's and what DJ can do, right? So I see that green flash. No way, Jury. We're not playing your game. Get lost. Great, except for if you get baited. So now, once again, if I see that green flash, screw you. I'm going for the invincible move. I'm not going to deal with any mix-up. Oh, I'm dead. Why? Because a lot of characters can just stop their momentum dead in their tracks. They can rely on you waiting for that green flash, that telltale sign that something's coming, and when you react to it in, like, you know, a purely animal way, see green react, they can punish you for being that good. Like, let me give you a prominent example with a character that doesn't even have a very strong drive rush in comparisons like your DJs, Juries, and Camis of the world, right? Lily. So Lily, one thing she likes to do here is raw drive rush, crouch, heavy punch into Condor Wind. One of the things about that is it removes the gap because of the additional plus frames, so you can't just drive rush her through it. So that's really good in and of itself, right? And it gives her the wind stalk and all that kind of stuff, and it's mostly safe on block for the most part, right? So it's good. But of course, naturally enough, if I see that green flash, I get bopped, right? I'll just reverse on the spot. But even Lily, as low tier as she may be, can still scam you out with a raw drive rush. So if once again here, I'm just going to do something invincible when I see that green flash. Oh, green flash, I got you. Oh, wait. Oh, and then I got punch counter and I died, right? Because she can just stop her momentum dead going into the Condor Wind without the attack, right? And bait out all these kind of gotcha moments. So the safest, most reliable counterplay, you know, a fully invincible move against a drive rush, right? You're not risking your life hitting a button because God forbid you don't get that button off in time, because then you're really in trouble, right? Lots of characters have ways around that just to bait you out. Much the same, say, with supers, right? If you go in, see that super animation, you just cancel on your own super. And usually, depending on the character, you'll win out. Or you can just kind of do something invincible yourself, right? Like a EX Mental Spin. Has upper body invincibility. Most supers are upper body, right? So, like, there's a lot of counterplay. And that's sort of where we're at with this video. Like, once again, this is a universal mechanic, so I'm not calling it necessarily to be nerfed. Obviously, some characters do it better than others. But on that note, once again, is this the single best technique in the game? Once again, this only costs a single bar, right? That's it. Like, what other use of meter in this game is as effective? Certainly not a random EX move, you know, even though they're very good for combos and, you know, applicable utility, right? But just for a single bar, this is basically the best use of a single bar you can find in this game. Like, if you ever watched the E-Honda Tips and Tricks guide, which I do recommend, after a butt slam, you can go for a raw drive rush stand medium punch. It'll hit later in the meaty active frames, which allows for all sorts of fun things. Like, it allows it to combo into stand heavy punch into heavy headbutt naturally, right? When it normally couldn't because it's later in the active frames, right? And there's a lot of setups like that as well, where when you knock the enemy down, then you can drive rush and get whatever degenerate mix-up or setup from that. We showed a Han example here too for Mano. Like, any combo, doesn't matter what it is, that goes into the low spin, right? If you just raw drive rush after the fact, even if they back roll, doesn't matter because it'll make up the distance for you, right? It will allow back heavy punch to hit meaty, which makes it even more advantage on hit than it normally would, which means it'll combo into itself. And then, well, you know, story kind of writes itself at that point, right? And of course, naturally, it's also quite advantage on block. And not too much else to say. Like, I think I've hopefully made a case here, right? And at this point, I just want to throw it to you guys. What do you think about all this? You think that's a good thing, a bad thing? You know, for a lot of characters, you know, depending on the character, depending on the player. I've seen just raw drive rush effectively become the neutral for the character, right? They don't want to deal with the back and forth anymore. Why do that when you can just go green and work your way in with a very little penalty or consequence and a lot of upside and reward, right? So just food for thought. This was one of the things I remember back when the betas were happening. There was two things I was concerned about. One, that drive impact might be too strong, and you know, in the early days it certainly feels really strong, right? And I think for the most part we're in a good spot with that. But the other thing I wondered was, like, is raw drive rush too strong? And that one I'm still a little iffy on. I still think raw drive rush might be a bit powerful considering just the relative cost and consequence and risk that you put into it. So that's just me. That's the case. That's the argument. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And otherwise, well, that's the video. So, you know, don't stop using raw drive rush, right? It's really, really good. I highly suggest you use and abuse it because it's absolutely to your benefit. But other than that, well, then I guess we're at the end of the video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Street Fighter.